It's now worked out. We'll find out shortly. As you see, whoops, you don't see. Now we see. Rupa Goswami, like all of the Goswamis, had great love for Govardhan Hill, and he composed some astaka. Others also did. And this one is recorded. The singing of it. And the narration of it. Pratama Govardhan Astaka by Srila Rupa Goswami was mentioned. You listen carefully in the first verse of the Astaka. It has the words Mata, Mayura, and Mata, Mayura means a mad peacock. And that's a particular, each of the meters in Sanskrit, there's names for them. And this particular meter is sung in Mata Mayura. So if you listen, it's like a intoxicated peacock moving around. That's the sound of the meter itself. So that's the meter, and it's in the first line. And let's see if everything works. So far, so good. You can sing along.
Govindasyotam sritavamshi pranitodyal Nasyutkanta mattamayura vrajavita Radha kundo tungatarangangkuritanga Pratyasham me tvam kuru govardhana purnam.
O Govardhan, surrounded by hosts of peacocks intoxicated by the desire to dance, that is arising to the enchanting melodies of the monthly flute, which decorates the beautiful face of Govinda. O Govardhan, whose limbs display horripilations of joy in the form of sprouts that grow due to the high rising waves of Radhakund. O Govardhan, please arrange the fulfillment of my desires.
Yasyotkarshat vismitadhibir vrajadevi Vrinder varyam varnitamaste haridasyam Chitreryunjam stadyuti punje akilasham Pratyasham me tvam kuru govardhana purnam.
You are the one whose excellence caused the astonished groups of gopis to describe you as Hari Dasa Varya, the greatest among servants of Hari. As you illuminate all directions by your various clusters of amazing light, emanating from the transcendental moonstones, sapphires, rubies, etc. on your surface. O Govardhan, please arrange the fulfillment of my desires.
विन्दद्भिर्यो मन्दिरतां कन्दरवृन्दै कन्दैश्चेन्दोर्बन्धुभिरानन्दयतीशं वैदुर्याभे निर्जरतो ये अपि सोऽयं प्रत्याशां मे त्वं कुरु गोवर्धनपूर्णाम्।
You are the one who delights the Supreme Lord through various caves that resemble jewel-bedecked temple sanctums, as well as through your khanda, elephant-foot yam, your water lilies, and also through the sparkling, clean, dark-hued waters of your waterfalls. O Govardhan, please arrange the fulfillment of my desires.
शश्वद्विश्वालङ्करणालङ्कृतिमेध्यै प्रेम्णा धौते धातुभिरुद्दीपितसानो नित्याक्रन्दत्कन्दरवेणु ध्वनिहर्षात् प्रत्याशां मे त्वं कुरु गोवर्धनपूर्णाम्।
Oh, whose plateaus are glowing due to your various minerals, like natural red arsenic, oxides of various colors, etc., thoroughly washed by a pure love, which constantly act as pure ornaments for Hari, the ornament of the entire universe. O Govardhan, whose caves always appear to sing out loudly due to the joyous sounds made by hollow bamboos. O Govardhan, please arrange the fulfillment of my desires.
प्राज्याराजिर्यस्य विराजत्युपलानां कृष्णेनासौ सन्ततमध्यासितमध्या सोऽयं बन्धुर्बन्धुरधर्म सुरबीणां प्रत्याशां मे त्वं कुरु गोवर्धनपूर्णाम्।
You are the one whose great multitudes of flat stones appear splendid when they're constantly used by Krishna as places for sitting. You are the friend of all the cows, and thus your nature is very sweet. O Govardhan, please arrange the fulfillment of my desires.
निर्दुन्वाना संहृतिहेतुं घनवृन्दं जित्वा जम्बारातिमसम्भावितबादं स्वानां वैरं यः किल निर्यापितवान् स प्रत्याशां मे त्वं कुरु गोवर्धनपूर्णाम्।
O Govardhan, you are the one who certainly overpowered the destruction causing hosts of clouds. Thus, having conquered the unconquerable Indra, you are the one who calmed down the burning enmity of your mountain relatives. O Govardhan, please arrange the fulfillment of my desires.
बिभ्राणो यः श्रीभुजदण्डोपरिभर्तुश्छत्रीभावं नामयतार्थं स्वमकार्षीत् कृष्णोपज्ञं यस्य मकस्तिष्ठति सोऽयं प्रत्याशां मे त्वं कुरु गोवर्धनपूर्णाम्.
You are the one who gave true meaning to your own name as you accepted the role of an umbrella hanging over the beautiful arm of your Lord Giridhari. You are the one whose worship is established directly by Krishna's revelation. O Govardhan, please arrange the fulfillment of my desires.
गान्धर्वाय केलिकलाबान्धवकुञ्जे क्षुण्णैस्तस्य कङ्कणहारै प्रयताङ्गा रासक्रीडामण्डितयोपत्यकयाढ्या प्रत्याशां मे त्वं कुरु गोवर्धनपूर्णाम्.
O dear friend of Gandharva Radha, assisting her in the kunjas, forest bowers in her love sports. O Govardhan, whose limbs are decorated with her fallen ornaments like bracelets and garlands. O Govardhan, equipped with surrounding flat areas decorated with the signs of Rasa Leela. O Govardhan, please arrange the fulfillment of my desires.
अदृश्येनि शेखरपद्याष्टकमेतत् कृष्णाम्भोद प्रेष्ठपटेद्यस्तव देहि प्रेमानन्दं तुण्डिलयन् क्षिप्रममन्दं तं हर्षेण स्वीकुरुतां ते हृदयेश.
O crest jewel among all mountains, O mountain dear to the dark cloud-hued Krishna, may the Lord of your heart, Krishna, happily accept the living entity who studies these 8 prayers dedicated to you, while quickly nourishing his boundless joy of prema. O Govardhan, please arrange the fulfillment of my desires.
This verse, it's a standard prayer. Some devotees worship Govardhan Shilas. And this is a mantra that goes along with the worship of Govardhan Shilas commonly. Namaste Girirajaya Sri Govardhana Namine Ashesha Klesha Nashaya Paramananda Dayine. So we're moving on now to Gwal. If you remember where we ended up in the midday session, Gwal Pokor is a place, it's part of Sheshavan, Shamvan. I'll show you a map shortly. Shamvan, if you're going, so Govardhan runs north and south, long mountain, and we started on the east side, Kusum Sarovar, and then went down a bit to Shamvan, and we're now, as you see all those trees, that's an aerial view of Shamvan, and part of Shamvan is this place, Gwalpokor, Go Wala. Scrunched together becomes Gwal. And so it's a little pond. It doesn't look very lovely in this old photograph, but the Prabhupada established a Bhaktivedanta Memorial Trust for the purpose of renovating some of the holy places in India. And that little plaque there by the side of the Gwalpokor commemorates the Bhaktivedanta Memorial Trust fixing the place up. And it was a nice place. From this place, as many pastimes you heard earlier, by Ratnakund. It was a nice place where Radha and Krishna would meet from time to time. And from that place also, the cowherd boys would come, and here at Gwalpokor, they would take water. There's a nice pastime that's described by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur that took place at Gwalpokor. So the cowherd boys were resting while the cows were drinking water. And the pastime goes that Madhu Mangal and Krishna snuck away. They went to Surya Kund. It's a favorite thing they would do from time to time. And Madhu Mangal was a Brahmin, and Krishna dressed himself like a Brahmin, and they did the Surya Puja for Srimati Radharani's worship. Jatila was very happy with their worship, and she wanted to give some dakshin. Madhu Mangal was very enthusiastic to receive ladus as the dakshin. She gave some ladus and gave a gold ring. And he put the gold ring in the hem of his dhoti, and he took the ladus, put them in a bag, and tied them to his waist, so he would eat them throughout the day. And when he got back to Gwalpokor, Balaram asked him, "What's in that bag?" And Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur writes, Madhu Mangal didn't say, he just looked down. Without saying a word, Balaram, with his eyes and the nod of his head, indicated to the cowherd boys what to do. And they circled around Madhu Mangal. First, they tied his arms to his body, and then they blindfolded him, and then they snatched the bag. 1, 2, 3. He didn't have to say anything, they knew what to do. And then they started distributing the ladus. And as they were tasting the ladus, they were making sure that Madhu Mangal understood how good they were. And Madhu Mangal started becoming, at first he was embarrassed because he wouldn't say what was there, but now he became angry. And he said, "You're stealing the property of a Brahmin. I'm going to curse you all." And they just laughed at him even more. And then he said, "When I get free, I'm going back and I'm telling all your mothers what you did today." And they laughed. And they removed his blindfold and they gave him some of the remnants of the ladus, and Madhu Mangal became happy because he got some ladus. There were the remnants of the cowherd boys. That pastime took place here at Gwalpukor. So now let's go to the next place. I just want you to see where we've been. And, I can do, no, I can't do that. I can do this. I'm going to use a laser pointer. So here's, you see over here, Shamvan. Here's the Ratna Kund, the lake. Here's that circular Rasa Stali. And here's the throne, the Ratna Singhasan. Over here is where Govardhan is just starting to appear. And it's where there's the footprint of Krishna, the calf print of the calf, and Krishna's walking stick embedded in a Govardhan Shila. Now we're continuing to go south along the eastern side of Govardhan, and there's Gwalpukar. How they spell it here. It spells different sometimes. And over here is Nardakund. We visited Nardakund. Here's Kusum Sarovar. Here's the Uddhava Temple. Here's the Bhan Bihari Temple. So now you get your bearings where we are. It's nice to know where you are as you're going along. And now we're going to go out this little dirt path, turn right, and down the Parikrama path. And as we go down the Parikrama path, on our right side, we'll start to see Govardhan slowly rising. Chaitanya Charitamrita describes, when Lord Chaitanya saw Govardhan hill, he immediately offered obeisances, falling on the ground like a rod. He embraced one piece of rock from Govardhan hill and became mad. There's a BBT painting of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu embracing a stone or a rock or a shila from Govardhan. And the pilgrims that pass by this area, they also worship with kumkum and milk and flowers. They worship Govardhan, even as you see, looking like this. And as we go further down the eastern side, going in a southerly direction, we're going to come to Manasi Ganga. And that's where part 2 is supposed to start. But it's a big map. Well, I blew it up a little bit. And Manasi Ganga used to be several miles long, all the way down to Aniur. And now it's not, it's shrunk. And some of the places we're going to visit, just so that you get oriented. Generally speaking, the pilgrims come in this path right here. So it says to Dan Bihari, that's going, or Dangati, excuse me. This is the Dangati Temple. Whoops. Dangati Temple is up on Govardhan Hill. When we look at it next, we're going to see it from the path. So we'll see the Dangati Temple. And back now to Manasi Ganga. A celebrated place is the Hari Dev Mandir. We're going to see inside the Hari Dev Mandir and the Hari Dev deity. And there's Manashi Devi and her mandir. There's a Brahmakund that's pretty dilapidated, so we don't even have some pictures of it, but that's where it is. The mouth, the mouth, Mukharavind, is right here. Then this area is very busy. It's Chakratirtha. We're going to see Chakratirtha a bit. And in the Chakratirtha area, there's the place where Sanatan Goswami had his bhajan kutir. There's a temple of Lord Shiva right next door to his bhajan kutir called Chakaleshwara Mahadev, right next to Sanatan Goswami's bhajan kutir. There's a Mahaprabhu temple, and we'll see the deities of Mahaprabhu. And so we'll visit all of these places identified just now. And this is where we were supposed to end this morning. So now I'm going to go to part 2, where we were supposed to begin. Let's see if it cooperates. Yeah. Ooh. So, Govardhan Prikrama, part 2. A little comment that is given by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur in his commentary to Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 11, Chapter 12. Canto 11, Chapter 12 is part of Uddhava Gita, Krishna speaking to Uddhava. And his commentary reads, "The inhabitants of Vraja are most special." This is Purnatama term. By bhavas, without mixture of karma or gyan, without desires, by bhakti yoga, with madhurya, vatsalya, sakya, and dasya bhavas, they attained me. The gopis attained me with madhurya rasa. The cows attained me by vatsalya rasa, in case you're wondering what's the rasa of the cows. The mountains, like Govardhan, attained me with sakya rasa. Now here Vishwanath is saying sakya, and we heard earlier that Raghunath Das considers dasya, the gopis consider dasya, but they say the best of the servants can also be in sakya. In any case, that's what Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur writes. The animals, the trees and shrubs, though unintelligent, snakes like Kaliya attain me with dasya rasa. Kaliya attained Krishna with dasya. That's a whole long story. But Kaliya is a very interesting and special personality. According to Brihad Bhagavatamrita and other places, he joins Krishna's pastimes in the spiritual world. He, Kaliya, volunteers sometimes, if Garuda isn't available, I'll be your carrier. And he can take him anywhere. Kaliya likes to serve. Dasya Ras. So here's the aerial view. All of this is Govardhan town. Excuse me. Where are we? Oh, I see, we're going this direct. This is the eastern side going down. So here is Kusum Sarovar. Here is Ratnakund. Over here is Uddhavakund on the back side of Kusum Sarovar, meaning when we get that far, we'll reach Uddhavakund, and from the Uddhavakund, we can look on the other side of Govardhan Hill and see the back side of Kusum Sarovar. And we're heading in this direction, down the...
I'm using the laser pointer, I don't think we see it.
You're not seeing it? Oh, sorry about that. Don't do it again. I was using my regular pointer. Okay. This is Kusum Sarovar. On the back side of Kusum Sarovar, on the other side of Govardhan Hill, is Uddhava Kund. It's on the western side, heading north. So when we get to Uddhava Kund, which will be later, we'll be able to look across on the other side of Govardhan Hill and see the back side of the buildings at Kusum Sarovar. Down here, where number 2 is, that's where Ratnakund. And we're now moving in a southerly direction along the eastern side of Govardhan Hill, coming to Manasi Ganga. There's Manasi Ganga. And this whole big area that looks like cement, it's because it's cement. It's roofs in Govardhan town. That's the central part of the body of the peacock, if you remember from this morning. So as we're moving along, again, Govardhan is starting to rise little by little. Those of you that have been to Govardhan, just picture walking along, and on your right side, there's Govardhan, because we walk around with the right side to the hill of Govardhan. And it starts to rise little by little, little by little. And there's piles of cow dung paddies here and there, and little places where the devotees have set up a place where they worship Govardhan. And if you look very carefully, especially if you have a guide with you, he'll show you where one of Prabhupada's disciples long, long ago, doesn't have the date, but when he was very young, he was a strong preacher in the UK, very outstanding devotee. He died at an early age, and by his arrangement, his Pushpa Samadhi is by the side of Govardhan Hill. Now, the photos that you saw was not during the rainy season. Looks a little different during rainy season. The hill is still there, but the greenery is pretty spectacular. And the locals worship Govardhan Hill. It's getting taller and taller as we get closer to Manasi Ganga. And there we are at Manasi Ganga. Again, we're going to go in. Yes, it shows. Okay, this is the little path to go in. And over here is Dangati Temple, where there's a tax pastime we'll hear about. Here's the Lakshmi Narayan Temple, we'll see. So the Parikrama path that follows this little red line, you go around to the right, go through Govardhan town with all the shops, etc., and then you make a left and start to head again south, going along the side of Govardhan Hill. You follow where we are? Good. Now notice on this side, this is on the other side, Sakhi Sthali. Sakhi Sthali is one of the places where Chandravali, Radharani's competitor, you could say, the right-wing leader of the right-wing gopis, she stayed in Sakhi Sthali, and her gopi friends stayed with her over there. So it's just on the other side of Govardhan town. When we do the parikrama, we kind of have to pass, this is the parikrama path going the other side, and it's just to our left, away from Manasi Ganga, Sakhi Sthali. It's a nice place, I mean, visually. If you're Raghunath Das Goswami, you don't want anything to do with it. But that's where it is. And again, here's an aerial view. So Manasi Ganga. And the places numbered go like this. Here's the starting point where you enter. This now we're looking at from the other direction. This is the parikrama path going south along the eastern side. The entry spot Here's Hari Dev deity over here. Over here. And Manasi Devi is over here. And the mouth of Govardhan is here. Mukharavind. And Chakaleshwara, the place where Sanatana Goswami had his bhajan kutir, etc. So that's just to give you a picture of, as we move around, where are we? And then we're going to go back out and go this way, heading again south on the eastern side of Govardhan Hill, along the side of Govardhan town. So the little history of how Manasi Ganga was formed. It's a nice neetla. Along the bank of the river Jamuna, one time, a demon decided to try to attack Krishna by hiding amongst the calves and disguising himself as a calf. But Krishna immediately knew this isn't one of the calves, this is a demon. And so he grabbed the demon by the horns, and the cowherd boys were cheering him on. He picked the demon up by his hooves and twirled him around, and as he was twirling him around, his body as a calf transformed back into the body of a demon. Krishna smashed him, and that was the end of Vatsasura. So sometime later, Krishna saw the gopis and he wanted them to know the good news. He was proud of himself. I've killed another demon. When they heard the whole story, Radharani in particular said, "What? How could you do this? The body of a baby calf you killed? This is very sinful. Don't come near us until you purify yourself for this terrible sin." And Krishna tried to explain it wasn't a calf. He was a demon. He was just disguising himself as a calf. Well, in any case, he was in the body of a calf, and you're sinful. You're going to have to purify yourself. Don't come near us. Krishna said, all right. What purification would you want to see? She said, you know the scriptures. You have to take bath in the Ganges. And Krishna said, but the Ganges is so far away. Radharani said, that's your problem. You have to figure out a way. Bathe in the Ganges or don't come near us. So Krishna accepted her words. He gave it some thought. And he decided that he would bring Ganga there. So in his mind, Manasa or Manasi Ganga, he invited Ganga to come. And as mentioned, when this happened, it was several miles long, running along the upper part of Govardhan Hill. And Krishna said, see, I'll just take my bath in the Ganga right here. She said, please. You think we're foolish. How far north is the Ganga? He said, I'll show you. And he called Ganga Devi to come forward, and immediately she manifested herself. He took bath in Manasi Ganga, and she accepted. Now you're purified of the sin of killing the calf, Vatsasura. Some days later, Nanda Maharaj was attending a katha that some brahmanas were reciting the glories and the purifying potency of Ganga. And the story was told where a bird was flying over the Ganga, the tail of a snake dangling from the snake's mouth touched the Ganga, and instantly the serpent manifested a four-armed form, and a Vaikuntha Vimana descended and took him to the spiritual world. And Nanda Maharaj was very excited. He said, let's go. Let's make a journey to the Ganga and purify ourselves. So the elders made their plan, and they gathered all their ingredients together for the journey to go all the way to the Ganga. And in the course of their travels from Nandagram, he happened to pass by Manasi Ganga. And Krishna asked, where are you going? And he told him where he's going. He said, you don't need to go anywhere. Ganga's right here. And he, said, little talkative boy, what does he understand about the Ganga? And so Krishna did the same thing he did with the gopis. He called Ganga Devi to come. And she came before Nanda Maharaj. Nanda Maharaj was amazed. And he called off the trip to the Ganga and took his bath in Manasi Ganga. And from that time, everyone in Vraja accepted that Manasi Ganga is the Ganga. It's the same as the sacred river flowing throughout India. Now, I showed you on the map the place that's known as Chakratirtha. And Chakratirtha has a special, the reason how it got its name has to do with the Govardhan Leela, lifting of Govardhan Hill. When Govardhan Hill was being lifted, one of the explanations of how there was a flood. When you lift the hill, water's going to go from outside the hill underneath the hill. But it didn't, because Krishna sent his Sudarshan Chakra to go around and around and around and around the hill so fast that the water was vaporized. The flood was vaporized. And at the end of those 7 days, Chakra was tired. So he requested Krishna a place to take rest. So the place that was given to him was Chakratirtha. That's how the place got its name. And there's a very nice description, very wonderful description of Chakratirtha found in Bhakti Ratnakar. What's Bhakti Ratnakar? Bhakti Ratnakar is a book that was written to explain the personalities in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Leela after Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's departure. Largely, that's what it is. And there's one section where the tour guide, Raghava Goswami, is taking the devotees. Oh gosh, where is it? Well, I'll have to do my best. Yeah, here we go. Krishna, Krishna. Definitely going to have the spiral bounding and organized. It's not well organized. So, Raghava Goswami is giving a tour of Vrindavan to Srinivasacharya and Narottam Das Thakur. He's showing him all the places in Gaura Leela around Vrindavan. So included in the place that he takes these two is Chakratirtha. And it describes a pastime that took place prior to Mahaprabhu's appearance, where Lord Nityananda, while waiting for Mahaprabhu's appearance, was in Vrindavan. And one of the places that he stayed while in Vrindavan was at Chakratirtha. So this is from Bhakti Ratnakar, where he's describing there was a wealthy Brahmin who lived in the area, who was very devoted to Lord Balaram. Very devoted to Balaram, and he very, very, very much wanted Balaram's darshan. So he did austerities, and he did his worship, and he did all the things that a qualified Brahmana should do and does do. But his focus was darshan of Lord Balaram. During this period of time, Lord Nityananda was at Chakratirtha. And he knew, transcendentally knew, that there was this Brahmana who very much wanted darshan of Lord Balaram. So one day, the Brahmana received a message, doesn't say how he received a message, that Baladev was about to give him a darshan, maybe in a dream or something. And he wanted to, he was, his anticipation spiked, because it was his long-standing anticipation, and now it just went way up. Somehow a message came to him. Baladev wants to give his association. So it's moving around Chakratirtha, and Lord Nityananda was waiting for the Brahmana to come. As soon as the Brahmana saw Lord Nityananda, he felt something. He didn't know exactly what that feeling was, but he understood this is a very special personality. So he wanted to give some dakshin. So he was a wealthy Brahmana, so he gave some substantial gifts to Lord Nityananda. "Oh, Brahmana Avaduta, please accept my humble gifts. All I beg is, do you please be kind enough to pray that I may have darshan of Sri Rohini Nandana." Of course, Balaram is non-different. When Lord Nityananda heard this offering, he accepted some of the edibles and gave his remnants to the Brahmana. And when the Brahmana accepted the remnants of Lord Nityananda, he felt something he had never felt before. So he knew, this is not an ordinary person. Who is this person? At night, when he took rest, in his dream, again, Lord Nityananda appeared to him. Then he said, actually, I am Lord Balaram, the same Lord Balaram that you've been hankering to see for so long. And I've come to give you my association. In the dream, Nityananda then transformed himself into Balaram. In the dream, the Brahmana fell at Balaram's lotus feet and overcome by ecstatic symptoms, and expressing in his mind, in his sleep, what a wonderful form this Lord Balaram has. And so the next day, when he woke, he went to the place where he had seen Lord Balaram, and he told Lord Balaram what happened in his dream. After so many years, at last I have achieved my Lord. Excuse me. He didn't go see Lord Nityananda yet. Again. So he went back to sleep. Balaram appeared again in his dream, decorated with much golden jewelry. The Brahmin offered his prayers. The Lord disappeared. The next morning he went to Lord Nityananda after 2 dreams. There's where he told Lord Nityananda the whole dream and said, I saw in the dream Lord Balaram was decorated with such wonderful ornaments. Can you tell me where I can have such ornaments made? So I'd like to give them to you as a gift, because he's a wealthy Brahmin. He wants to give something that he would like and be meaningful to him. Lord Nityananda just smiled. This is in Bhakti Ratnakar. He took him by the hand and he picked up a rock from Govardhan and handed him the rock from Govardhan and said, you can take this rock and cover it with gold and bring it back. So the Brahmana did that. And it was small, Govardhan Shila. And Lord Nityananda placed that Govardhan Shila covered in gold around his neck in a chain. And later he gave that Govardhan Shila covered with gold hanging from a chain to his son Virabhadra. And to this day, that is being worshipped in Ekachakra, because that's where Virabhadra lived. Now, I don't recall seeing a Govardhan Shila covered in gold, but that's what it says in Bhakti Ratnakar. Nice. Here's the photograph of the outside in Chakratirtha area of the Bhajan Kutir of Sanatan Goswami. One of the places he had Bhajan Kutir was here. And inside those doors, this is the photo of Sanatana Goswami sitting doing his bhajan. Very near, about 10 yards away, is a Chakaleshwara Mahadev. There's 5 Shiva Lingas. This is what the Shiva Lingas look like during the day. And they're protectors of the Dham, Kshetrapal Shiva Lingas. And at night, when they do the worship, this is what it looks like. And then they dress them very nicely. This is a daily ritual. It's not at this place. Well, yeah. At a certain point in time, Sanatana Goswami was being bothered by mosquitoes. Too much, because it's right by a lake, and it's a breeding place for mosquitoes during certain seasons. So he decided to leave. It's too disturbing. So when sadhu came, it turns Lord Shiva said, please don't go. I understand you're thinking to go. Please don't go. I'll make an arrangement, the mosquitoes will go away. And he said, well, if mosquitoes go away, then certainly I can stay. And it is said from that day until today, mosquitoes don't go in that area. So Lord Shiva spooked the mosquitoes. And he stayed. He stayed for the rest of his life. He left his body at that Bhajan Kutir place. There's a pastime that I like. It's not at Manasi Ganga. It's at another Bhajan Kutir place, or a place where he had actually had some worship, was on the side of Shamakund at Govardhan Hill, at Shamakund. And at Shamakund, there's a pastime where Rupa Goswami was writing, and it was his practice. Rupa Goswami brought his writing to his elder brother for review before he would, consider it final. So Sanatana Goswami looked it over, and he didn't feel so good about a certain section. And the certain section was, he was describing the braid of Radharani as looking like a snake climbing up her back. Thought that's not proper. Called Radharani's braid looking like a snake. But he didn't say anything. But he was thinking like that. And so in the midday, he was going to take his bath at Shamakund, which was his regular daily practice. And just directly on the opposite side of where his ashram was and his place of bhajan was, is a place where the gopis would regularly go daily to take their bath in Shamakund. There's a certain set of steps. Anyway, and as he was going in to get his bath in Shamakund, he saw a bunch of girls playing by the side of Shamakund, and one of them turned and looked to him from the opposite side of Shamakund. There was a snake crawling up one of their backs. And so he called out, "Look out! There's a snake!" And Radharani turned, smiled, and then suddenly disappeared. So then he realized that what Rupa Goswami wrote was very nice. So the other day when Rupa Goswami came and asked him, "How'd you like it?" He said, "I really liked your writing. I especially liked the part about the snake." That's a pastime of Radharani directly exchanging with Sanatana Goswami. There's another wonderful celebrated pastime where Raghunath Das, he lived to be 70 years of age, and as he was getting older and older, one of his practices daily was he would circumambulate Govardhan Hill. Now some of us are going to be going to Govardhan Hill, and for some of us, of course, we stop for katha and stuff like that, but it takes, a good part of the day, supposing you don't stop for katha. Takes a good part of the day. And he did it every day. Every day, every day, every day. And it became difficult for him as he was getting older to every day circumambulate Govardhan Hill. So Krishna came and told him, you're a perfected soul, you don't have to do this. He said, I have to do this, it's a vow. It's just a coward boy. And so he said, I'll make this arrangement. And on a Govardhan Shila, he placed his foot and a print of a calf. This is what you see. And he said, you just circumambulate this a few times, and that's your circumambulation around Govardhan Hill. And he disappeared. So Sanatana Goswami was very sad that he didn't recognize Krishna had come. Of course, he didn't recognize because Krishna didn't want him to recognize. And for the rest of his life, that was his circumambulation around Govardhan Hill, circumambulating this Shila. A while later, he left his body at the same place, that's Bhajan Kutir place, on Guru Purnima. And he was such a celebrated personality amongst all the Brijbasis. They looked up to him like their father. It's said they all, like when one's father becomes deceased, they all shaved their heads. The very same day, they made a major procession, taking the body of Sanatana Goswami to the backside of the Madan Mohan Temple in Vrindavan town, and his samadhi was established there. And that Govardhan Shila that he worshipped was taken to Jiva Goswami's care at the Radha Damodar Temple. And to this day, that's where that Shila is, at the Radha Damodar Temple. Nearby at Chakratirtha, there's a very nice, very simple Mahaprabhu temple. It's not often visited, but there's the deities. And jutting out into Manasi Ganga from this Chakratirtha place is a celebrated place where the boat pastime occurred. There you see Tamal Krishna Maharaj and some other devotees standing at the place where the boat that was waiting, because at that time, during Krishna's time, Manasi Ganga was much bigger, and to cross, even now it's quite wide, but to cross Manasi Ganga, there were boats. And when they went to get in the boats, there was only one old boat with a darkish figured boatman waiting to take them across the boat. And they looked at the boat, they looked at the boatmen, but they had to take their milk products to the other side of Manasi Ganga to the market. And so they got in the boat. So this is the boat pastime. The boatman said, I'm really hungry. Can you give me something from your milk products to eat? So they gave him as much as he wanted. And he ate a lot. And after he ate a lot, he was tired. So he wanted to take a nap. And they scolded him. Look, we have to take milk products to the other side. Get this boat to the other side. And Krishna smiled. And by his own arrangement, at that time, a big storm came. Winds came, heavy waves came, and the boat was sinking. And as the boat was sinking, it had many holes in the bottom of this rickety old boat. And he was saying, this is very dangerous. You see the size of these waves. The weight of the boat is too much. You have to throw these dairy products over the side of the boat. We're in big trouble. And after that was not sufficient, because the boat was still sinking and sinking, he said, you have to take off your ornaments. You see some of the gopis unfastening their earrings and other ornaments, smiling at the boatman, not recognizing that it was Krishna. And there's different versions, but one of the versions says, there's too much weight, all your clothes are soaking wet, you have to throw your clothes over the side of the boat. And Radharani said, that's it, we'll throw you over the side of the boat. And when she grabbed Krishna, she found his flute, and so she knew it was Krishna, not a boatman. And all of a sudden, the storm subsided, and the boat was able to navigate properly, and then they carried on, and the pastime went on for the rest of the afternoon, enjoying pastimes in Krishna's boat crossing Manasi Ganga. So it's a nice pastime, and celebrated pastime, lots of paintings connected with this pastime. That's a much nicer boat than the other one we saw. And there's the area, this area here, where the boat ghat was, where you saw those devotees standing on the edge. Now we're going to go to the mouth of Govardhan, called Mukharavind. Now, the followers of Vallabha have their own idea of where the mouth of Govardhan is. It's on the other side of Govardhan Hill. But the Gaudiyas accept this is the side where the mouth of Govardhan is. In fact, there's a nice temple there. In fact, it's always busy. And here they say, and the pilgrims also accept, this is the mouth of Govardhan. On this Shila, there's an impression of Krishna's crown on it. And here is the mouth of Govardhan. So they do pujas, pour milk, etc., etc., etc. And here's where the crown of Krishna is. Mukharavind Shila, the lotus mouth of Govardhan Hill. So that's one of the places that's visited. We're also going to visit for sure over on the right side. This is, over here is Mukharavind, this little spot down here. But we're going to go to Manasi Devi and Hari Dev. Now, all these numbers are from different opposite sides. So you may get confused about where's what. This is the entrance. The eastern side goes along like this. The entrance goes in here. And here's the Manasi Devi Temple. And here's the Hari Dev Temple. The Manasi Devi Temple is very small. On the back side, the painting, the mural, is Manasi Devi riding on her lion carrier with many arms. And down below her, we're going to see a close-up of each one of these deities, but Manasi Devi in her deity form, dressed in this style, in this particular day. And the names of these deities, this is Manasi Devi, and by her side is Kaila Devi, who is a form of Durga. And on the other side, there's the lion carrier of Manasi Devi. And here's a child devotee of Manasi Devi. So that's the four deities that you saw. And here's Manasi Devi herself, who is a form of Durga. Manasi Devi at Manasi Ganga. Here's the temple of Hari Dev. When we actually go to visit Vrindavan, I think we may do this one of the evenings while I'm here. One of the first places we'll go to is on the eastern side of the river Jamuna, where Gokul, where Krishna made his appearance, Radharani made her appearance, and further in the southeast corner of Gokul is Daoji, Gokul Daoji. So Brajranab established four principal deities. representing the different directions. And the western petal of Brajmandal was Hari Dev, established, a very ancient deity, established by Vajranab. And the Daoji is in the southern section, very far southeast section of Vrindavan. The actual deity, Hari Dev, was taken out of Vrindavan. His whereabouts are unknown. It's said that he's probably somewhere in UP, somewhere near Lucknow, but they're not sure. At least I've not gotten any good reference. But it's the deity of Krishna lifting Govardhan Hill. As you can see, the backdrop on either side, there's cowherd boys and cowherd ladies, and Krishna's lifting Govardhan Hill. Here's a little bit closer. He's lifting Govardhan Hill with his left hand raised. And here he is again in another day with another dressing. Now this is a bas relief deity. It's not three-dimensional, means that there's a flat back and the deity is protruding from what's in the back. And you can see that when we get a really close-up feature of the deity. There he is with his hand raised, and the bas relief feature of Hari Dev. And there's his lotus feet. So we visited Manasi Ganga, and after visiting Manasi Ganga, we have to go back out the same way we came in. And when you go back out the same way that you came in, then you continue going in a southerly direction, weaving a little bit through Govardhan town. And we're going to visit this place because it's one of Bhakti Chaitanya Maharaj's favorite places. It's a sweet shop. And directly across is a Lakshmi Narayan temple that's organized by the Sri Vaishnava Sampradaya. And then over here is where the Dangati pastime takes place. We'll see that in a moment. So here's some photos of the sweet shop. And here's I just have to say it, Son Papri. He really likes the sweet shop. It's a celebrated place. And the devotees that go with him on Parikram, they must load up with this man's sweets because he speaks about it every time. Almost directly across the street is the Lakshmi Narayan Temple, which is one of the 108 Divya Deshas of the Sri Vaishnavas, which is a big deal. Their 108 Divya Deshas is their celebrated pastime places. So they honor Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan this way, Lakshmi Narayan Temple. Now note, there's a little Govardhan, Shila, down in between them. Previously, no longer, but in this same area, right across the street from the sweet shop, basically, was where Shakshi Gopal resided. And we all have heard Shakshi Gopal's story. Shakshi Gopal, the witness Gopal, that then went with the Brahmana to verify that he had the son, no, the old man had promised his daughter in marriage to a poor Brahmin. Anyway, Shakshi Gopal was worshipped in Govardhan town, and there's a Pratibhu deity in place of what was the Shakshi Gopal deity at that time. Now, we're going to now turn left, and you can see in the sign up above how far away is the end of Govardhan Hill. It's 6 kilometers. The punch, or the tail, where Lota Baba is 6 kilometers away. So it means that the length of Govardhan Hill is around 12 plus kilometers. And Jatipur and Anior. Jatipur is a city that was built where Madhavendra Puri made his residence. Jati, to renunciate. And Anior is the place where the Govardhan Puja was performed. Anior. We'll hear that Leela shortly. Well, I guess it'll be tomorrow. And when you go around to the right, so you see it, there's a lot of pilgrims traveling around Govardhan Hill. Go down past the shops. The first thing you see on the right is a stone that the Brahmins there, they're very enthusiastic to have you come take a look. They're enthusiastic to have you come take a look because they want some donation. They're overly enthusiastic to have you come take a look and give a donation. So I kind of don't like to go there. But they make offerings of milk, and that commonly, again, because Govardhan is now rising very tall, as devotees will pay their obeisances, and it's a very nice place for the devotees to have kirtan. Now, up on top of the hill, right above where the kirtan party is the temple commemorating a place where the tax pastime occurs. And there's two writings. The first of those 2 writings was done by Rupa Goswami. It's a nice story. Rupa Goswami had written a literature, Lalita Madhava, Vedanta Madhava, that describes Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan. And he gave it to Raghunath Das Goswami to read. And Raghunath Das Goswami became very ill because the pastime describes Krishna's leaving Vrindavan and the devastation that the gopis and all the residents of Vrindavan felt when Krishna left. So he became very ill. And Rupa Goswami was told he's very ill. So Rupa Goswami said, I want to do some editing on that book. Can you give it back to me? Instead, I want to give you this other book I just wrote. And it's a tax pastime, which is very, very sweet. So his health got better reading the pastime. So up on top of the hill, we don't go, but the Vrijvasis may go. Dani Rai, the king of the tax pastime. So there are 2 versions, and one of the versions describes that the gopis were coming with milk products because Bhaguri Muni was performing a yagya at Govindakund. Who's Bhaguri Muni? Bhaguri Muni is the son of Garga Muni. Who's Garga Muni? Garga Muni is the priest that resided in Mathura and did so many things. He was very expert at so many things, astrology and yagya and so many things. He was everyone recognized him as a very qualified Brahmana. And he had a son named Bhaguri Muni. And so Vasudeva, knowing that his son Krishna was in Vrindavan, he arranged for Bhaguri Muni to do a yagya. So he was the sponsor of the yagya. And Bhaguri Muni did the yagya at Govindakund. So the gopis, knowing that he was doing a yagya, they were carrying dairy products for the yagya, ghee, and so many nice things for the yagya. And all of that pastime was described by Rupa Goswami in Danakeli Kamudi. Reading this Danakeli Kamudi pastime, so Krishna stops the gopis and demands a tax. I'm the son of the king of Vrindavan, and you have to pay tax. They say, we're taking items for a yagya. You can't pass here without paying a tax. And there was a big quarrel and a big quarrel and a big quarrel and a big quarrel, back and forth and back and forth. Nandimukhi, who is Madhu Mangal's sister, and a Brahmana, she came by right at the right time. And so they turned to her, can you settle this dispute? And she said, I'll tell you what, the yajna should go on, and the tax can be settled tomorrow. Let them go and settle the tax tomorrow. Very good, we'll settle the tax tomorrow. So Krishna let them go. And then there's more to the Leela that comes a little bit later. You'll hear the little bit later shortly. So hearing this, reading this tax pastime, Dan Keli Kamudi, Raghunath Das also wrote Dan Keli Chintamani, another tax pastime that's very elaborate and very funny and very detailed. I'm going to read just a little bit that goes into this discussion. Now, it's one of those things, there's a number of places where Krishna would perform this tax pastime. When we go to Varsana, there's a place, Sankari Kor, that's another celebrated place where the tax pastime occurs. But it wasn't just those two places. He would do it from time to time. It was fun. And there's Lalita shaking her finger at Krishna. You're going to get yours, because he broke one of the pots as yogurt because he didn't pay the tax. So when we visit Varsana, we'll hear about that Sankari Kor pastime. But here's one of the passages of Krishna's considering the tax that she should pay. He sees Radha. Is this a blossoming champak vine? No. Champak vines are stationary, and this being moves. Is this a lightning flash? No. Lightning shines only for a moment in its sky-born cloud, and this being remains continually before me. Is this a river with splendid waves? No, for rivers are formless, and this being has a very beautiful form. He's describing Radharani. And then describing her beautiful features, he indicates that there should be a tax for this feature and a tax for that feature, and so many rubies and so many diamonds and so many this and so many that, and you can't pass until you pay the tax. My dear beautiful friends, my dear beautiful faced friends, what is this before us? Is it a fresh monsoon cloud? This is Radharani speaking about Krishna. Is it a sapphire blossom? It is a newly sprouted blue lotus flower? Ah, it is none of these, because this form before us causes me to burn with passionate desire. I know this must be the wonderful dark moon of Gokul standing before us on Govardhan Hill. And there's back and forth conversation. Here's some of it. For the red sindura mark in your parted hair, you must pay the toll of 100,000 glittering crystal stones. And for your beautiful braids, which glisten like black mascara, you must pay the toll of 200,000 charming sapphires. O girl with the beautiful eyebrows, for your forehead, which shines like a golden half moon, you must pay the toll of 100,000 splendid moonstones. He's describing her features and glorifying her features and indicating the tax that she has to pay or she can't pass. So this is where Nandi Mukhi comes and makes a peace settlement. So it's agreed that they can pass. They can bring the dairy products to Bhaguri Muni's yagya at Govindakund, which is just further down on the east side of Govardhan Hill. And we'll visit there later. So here's the little bit down from the little temple here, Dani Roy Temple, is the feature of Govardhan Hill. It gets quite tall, and as we move along, we're going to next visit a place that's on the opposite side facing Govardhan Hill. And that opposite side that's facing Govardhan Hill, remember, we're just turning around. Govardhan Hill is above now. So we're going to take a look at, you see the Bhaktivedanta Ashram. The Bhaktivedanta Ashram is our Govardhan ISKCON center. The history is, there was a period of time when Giriraj Maharaj and Tamal Krishna Maharaj were really absorbed in being in Vrindavan, and they thought it would be really nice if those who are renunciates could have a place where they could go from time to time and take a break from their preaching work and go there and just have hearing and chanting in association with one another. And so they spent some time looking for a suitable place. They found a king from Manipur that owned a property by the side of Govardhan Hill, and they explained what they wanted to do, and he was kind enough to make the transaction, and they made the payments for the property, and then gradually built very simple facilities for renunciates to stay for their break. And I know for a fact that during the pandemic, it wasn't occupied by visitors, but every year, for the past number of years, Keshava Bharati Maharaj accepted the service on behalf of Tamal Krishna Maharaj, because they worked together closely for years with the Radha Damodar bus party. So he was the resident sannyasi that would take care of sannyasis and other visitors that came. And so it has a nice history, the Bhaktivedanta Ashram. It's the palace of the king of Bharatpur. There's what the property looks like. Here's the entrance. And when you go inside the entrance, here's what you see. And over on the right side, there's a little place for worship of Govardhan. And there's a sitting place for Radha Krishna and gopis worshiping them. A few Govardhan Shilas piled up here on a throne, where the locals do some puja with offering of flowers and other things. There's deities inside. There's Krishna, Balaram, Shilas. You can see better close up. The Balaram Shila is a lighter color, and Krishna Govardhan Shila is a darker color. And there's nice Gaurnitai deities. And of course, another little set of deities of Krishna Balaram and Radhashama Sundar and Govardhan. So this is a Prikrama party leaving that place, heading with Govardhan to their right. So as we're looking at them, it's to our left, but they're moving along the Prikrama path. And here's some scenes that they're very common. Cows grazing on the side of Govardhan, monkeys, and so forth. And get our laser pointer again. There's number 8 right there. That's the Bhaktivedanta Ashram. And we're going over here to number 9, which is Dan Nivartan Kund. Dan Nivartan Kund is a place where it was arranged that the Gopas would be meeting with the gopis to have the tax taken care of. However, when the Gopas who were grazing the cows got to this place, there were thousands of gopis hiding. And as soon as the cowherd boys came, the gopis all came running from behind their hiding places, and rather than paying the tax that they said they were being supposed to pay, they captured the cowherd boys, and it said they tied their sikas to the rocks and the trees. And then they demanded, "You've insulted Radharani. You were wanting tax from her. You're going to have to pay a tax." You know, sporting talk back and forth. So this is Dandivartan Kund. during one season where it's nice and green because it's rainy. Same place, it's not during the rainy season, but it's the same place. So here's writings of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur about the place. Sri Krishna enjoyed the tax pastime in a secluded place on the bank of this lake. Whoops. Well, I can read it on my computer. Sri Krishna enjoyed the tax pastime in a secluded place on the bank of this lake. Thus, it became known as Dan Nivartan Kund. The truth of this lake remains hidden to persons averse to the mellows of pure devotional service. May that Dan Nivartan Kund kindly allow me residence on her bank. Okay? No, it's okay. It is filled with cool water and fragrant flowers. It blossoms with good fortune, attained from the peerless water pastimes of the youthful couple and their sweet friends. May that Dandivartan Kund kindly allow me to reside on her banks. Because Sri Krishna enjoyed the Danakeli pastime in a secluded place by the shore of this lake, it has become known as Dan Sarovar, or Dan Nivartan Kund. Raghunath Das Goswami writes, I pray that I may reside at Dan Sarovar, the place where Krishna enjoyed the Dan Keli pastime. So there's a sitting place, a little shrine, where this exchange took place between Krishna and the gopis. Krishna had to bow his head at the feet of Radharani to beg forgiveness. So she sat on the throne, and Krishna placed his head and accepted her feet and accepted her as the queen of Vrindavan and begged for her forgiveness. Dan Nivartan Kund. Nice pastime. So now we're continuing going in a southerly direction with Govardhan off to our right, and the path looks like this. And to the right, Govardhan is rising quite high. And even higher. Here's more in the rainy season. Sometimes the rocks are protruding like this. Sometimes there's cows grazing on the side in the soft grasses. Sometimes you'll see Nilagai, this blue cow. We saw some at Ratnakund. They're very interesting. They're hard to spot. When they see you, they just stare at you. And you just stare at them because, they're very unusual. Anyway, we're continuing now in a southerly direction along the eastern side. Here's the big picture of Govardhan town, of Govardhan Hill. On the right side is Radhakund. And the far left side, that's the tail. Let's say it's 12 kilometers long, and this is Govardhan town in the middle. And we're going along this direction. Whoops. Okay. So here's Govardhan town. Here's the Bhaktivedanta Ashram. Here's Dandivartan Kund. And we're heading in this direction. And going off, not often do people go off the Parikrama path, but there's a very large Shila we're going to see photographs of. And there's an inner path around Govardhan Hill. There's an outer path that's like a roadway. So you go inside, and it's between Dandivartan Kund, which is back up this way, and Anior, the town. Anior is not the town. Anior is the place where the Anukut, the big offering to Govardhan was made, to Hari was made. So here's that large Shila with some friends. And because they're drinking the milk because there's a Brahmin there, or the pilgrims come with their own quantity of milk in a container, and they bathe the Shila and they circumambulate the Shila. The pilgrims, Brijbasis, and others that are visitors, they take Govardhan Puja very seriously. Very devotionally. So that's our visit to that large Shila. And now we're going further down to, that's where the large Shila was, and a bit of a walk. We're going down here to number 11. What's number 11? This area in between is Anukut Kshetra. It's quite an expanse, and this is the area where the Anukut, or all the cooked items, were offered to Hari when Krishna assumed the form of Hari. It's really spectacular. Here's another map showing the same thing. This is the Anior Kshetra area. And, it's on this side. It's on this side. Anior Kshetra. You see the writing? Anior Kshetra. Anior Kshetra. Anukut Kshetra. Same. So Govinda Kund is further down, but there's the Anior village. That's where we're headed. We're going to see Sankarshan Kund and some other places. Yeah. Here it says Balaram Temple. We're going to visit the Balaram Temple. It's in the backside of Sankarshan Kund, and we're not going to get as far as Govinda Kund today. But here we go. Here's a photograph of the Anior Kshetra. This is where the offerings were made. Big area. Giant offerings to Lord Hari. And here's the same place during the rainy season. And here's some nice prayers. Who will not take shelter of Govardhan Hill, the best of mountains, friend of Gokul, the charming bumblebee that for 7 days stood on the graceful whirl of the lotus flower of Lord Krishna's hand and protected Vraja from the mouth of the Indra crocodile, raining a great monsoon. Notice the cows up top. They're free to roam. We don't go up top. What pious person will not take shelter of Govardhan Hill, whose peak is the place of pastimes for Lord Krishna, the master of the Surabhi cows, and near which is blissful Govardhan Kund, Govinda Kund, where a Surabhi cow, followed by humbled Indra, bearing the waters of the celestial Ganges, bathed Lord Krishna and secretly crowned him the king of the Surabhi cows. More images of this area. More images of the Shilas protruding from the side of Govardhan Hill. More images of cows grazing. Now here's a little, we're going to do some sound again. Let's see, I hope it works. Who knows? It doesn't always work. But this is a little video. And if it works, it's very nice. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Not working. Well, it was a nice video. You want a fiddle?
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama.
This is produced by the BIAP in honor of the Govardhan retreat this year. It's nice. It's short.
Once, during the course of Radha Krishna's pastimes at Govardhan, Srimati Radharani went into the divine spiritual emotion of jealous anger called man. Sitting atop Govardhan, Krishna wondered how to pacify her. His hands resting on a Govardhan Shila, he thought to himself, if only I had some sandalwood paste to apply on Radha's feet, that would surely pacify her. Govardhana, being the best of Krishna's servants, Haridasa Varya, understood the heart of his lord and instantly began to emit sandalwood paste. Krishna felt his hands become moist. As he looked, he was delighted to see the reddish paste produced by the hill. After swiftly gathering the sandalwood paste in his palms, he proceeded to where Radha was sitting and softly applied it over her lotus feet, eventually pacifying her. Till today, Giriraj continues to produce that red chandan in a secret place off the Parikrama path.
Nice. Very simple. Just a few more slides. Only about 80 more. We're going to visit next, see number 12. This whole area is Anyor town. We're going to walk through Anyor town and go to Sankarshan Kund, which is number 12. And then we're going to go to number 13, which is a Balaram Temple. And then on top of the hill is the temple where the Gopal deity was kept, Gopal Roy Temple. So Sankarshan Kund, Balaram, and the Gopal Roy. And then the last, we're not going to go there, we'll go there tomorrow. This is where the deity of Gopal was found by Madhavendra Puri. So here we go. Here's a photo of the Gopal Roy Temple. Notice on the back side, there's the red brick structure, that's the old temple. When it started to fall apart, they made a new one. The new one is painted in white with the two flags on the top of the domes. And below the Gopal Roy Temple is Sankarshan Kund. And as you notice over here, there's a little shrine. We're going to visit that place also. Here's the old temple, kind of fallen apart, so they built a new one. Here's this little shrine, which is on the lower left corner. And we're going to see that place shortly. It's a temple of Lord Shiva. On the back side is Ganesh and Kartikeya with a Shiva Linga in the front, right in the side of Sankarshan Kund. Now, going further back, we're going to see number 12. Here's the path that takes you to number 12. It's a Balaram Temple. Very nice temple, very nice deity. The Sankarshan Kund is spoken about in Vishnu Purana. We're going to hear some more, I guess, tomorrow, whatever it is, tomorrow midday or something, about Sankarshan Kund in Vishnu Purana and Adi Varaha Purana. But here's something from Vayu Purana. O Tirtharaj by the name Sankarshana, O beautiful fountain of bliss, I offer my obeisances to you because you give grains and wealth to the Yadavas. Maybe you recall from this morning, there was a period of time, maybe it wasn't this morning, maybe it was, there was a period of time when the Pandavas resided in Vraja, in one of the forests of Vraja, west of Nandagram. And they built, Yudhishthira built the palace and so forth and so on. There's some exchanges. So Sankarshan Kund was known by them. It's mentioned, the Yadavas. In Bhakti Ratnakar, the statement is there, whoever wants to fulfill his desires should take bath here. So we're going to follow that path that goes into Anyor town, and there's a nice little temple. It's very, very quiet and obscure, a 5-foot-tall Daoji Temple. Again, it's said it's installed by Vajranab. And when there was the Muslims were harassing the Vaishnav temples, the deity of Daoji was hid in Sankarshan Kund and later was taken out of the Kund. And here's the temple. On the tall deity, again, it's a bas-relief deity of Balaram, and the small deity is Krishna. Here's a close-up of the Balaram deity. And here's a close-up of the Krishna deity. This is Krishna in this childhood feature where Sankarshan is the hoods of Anantashesh covering him as he and Nanda Maharaj were crossing the river Jamuna to go to Gokul. Nice, very, very nice temple, very merciful deity. And should I continue? 8:35. Our host, should I continue? It's getting a little late. Don't ask your wife. I'm on slide 160, and there's 224 slides. But this is the Govardhan Leela. Okay, Madhavendra Puri, as a Paribrajakacharya Paramahansa, he was traveling throughout the holy places. One of the places he visited was Vrindavan, as you know the story. And for some days he hadn't eaten because people hadn't offered something. He was underneath a tree near Govindakund, and a little cowherd boy came and said, "Would you like some milk?" The ladies of our village said to bring this to you. And he said, "How did you know I was fasting?" He said, "Well, in our village, no one goes hungry. You take this milk, I'll come back later and pick up the pot. After you've drunk the milk, I have to go for milking the cows." So he just disappeared. And as Madhavendra Puri was drinking the milk, he felt great ecstasy. And he realized there was actually Krishna that brought the milk. In his dream, I'm going fast, I hope you notice. In his dream, he had a dream where the same cowherd boy came to him in his dream and he said, "I'm Gopal, and in my deity form, I've been waiting for you to come. My deity form has been neglected for a long, long time, and I'll tell you where the deity is in the morning. When you wake, have some local village people come and take care of me. I want you to worship me." So sure enough, in that place, he went exactly where he was told. It was through the brush and hidden, secluded, etc. This is a little shrine commemorating the place. As you see in the image, that's where the deity was. And some different decorations on the place where the deity was. See, the slides are going quickly, right? Not so bad. And this is the feet of the deity, or marking the feet of the deity, with conch and chakra, and looks like some beads, etc. So we know the pastime. He, Madhavendra Puri, arranged for the bathing and cleaning, after cleaning with water, cleaning the deity with oil, scented oil, the whole procedure for deity worship. And after decorating the deity and getting ready to perform the arti, he requested the village people to perform this anukut just as was done for Krishna at the time of the Govardhan Leela. And so they brought mountains of rice and chapatis and this and that and the other thing. And it was so wonderful. The village nearby said, "Can we do it tomorrow?" And can we do it tomorrow? And went on for a month of festivals honoring, up on a stone, worshiping the deity. In course of time, Madhavendra Puri trained some local people. He initiated them, and they became the worshippers of Gopal, and the rest of the story goes on. So the place where the deity was found and the deity was initially worshipped is in this area. And when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came, the deity was now up on the hill of Govardhan. He wouldn't go see the deity, and so the deity came to see him. Out of concern, maybe some problem with some invading soldiers, the deity was brought down from the hill by the pujaris. This way, Lord Chaitanya got to see the deity of Gopal and danced in ecstasy and worshipped the deity very nicely. And then he went back up on the hill. And in this area, there's a temple where it commemorates this pastime. Interesting deity, just a Govardhan Shila with some arms hanging out. Anyway, and feet. Lord Krishna happened to see the cowherd men busily arranging for a sacrifice to Indra. You know the story. He asked his father, what's the purpose? His father gave the explanation. Here's what we're doing. His father told him, Lord Indra is the controller of the rain. The clouds are his personal representatives, and they directly provide rainwater, which gives happiness and sustenance to all creatures. Not only we, my dear son, but also many other men worship him, the Lord and Master of the rain-giving clouds. So that's what Nanda said. And then Krishna gave a Karmakanda argument. Since Lord Indra cannot in any way change the destiny of human beings, which is born of their nature, why should people worship him? May a sacrifice for the pleasure of the cows, the brahmanas, and Govardhan Hill begin, with all the paraphernalia collected for worshipping Indra. Let this sacrifice be performed. So he started giving directions for Govardhan Puja. And all the items that were to be offered should be cooked and offered to Govardhan Hill. That's that Anukut area, or Anyor Kshetra area. Let many different kinds of food be cooked, from sweet rice to vegetable soups. Many kinds of fancy cakes baked and fried should be prepared. All the available milk products should be taken for this sacrifice. The brahmanas, who are learned in Vedic mantras, must properly invoke the sacrificial fires. Then you should feed the priest with nicely prepared food and reward them with cows and other gifts. After giving food to everyone else, including such fallen souls as dogs and dog eaters, you should give grass to the cows and then present your respectful offerings to Govardhan Hill. Okay. After everyone has eaten to his satisfaction, you should all dress and decorate yourselves handsomely, and then circumambulate the cows, the brahmanas, and sacrificial fires, and Govardhan Hill. So Nanda Maharaj agrees. They begin their process of worshipping Govardhan Hill. Then Krishna assumed an unprecedented, huge form to instill faith in the cowherd men, declaring, I am Govardhan Mountain. And he ate everything. And there was a lot of everything. And after he ate everything, he said, Anior. If you're Brijbasi, that means, I want more. Krishna himself came and offered obeisances to Krishna. Isn't it nice? There's Krishna, Krishna, and Krishna. Krishna as Govardhan Hill, Hari as the form of Govardhan Hill, and Krishna offering his obeisances to Hari. So everyone else did also. Another nice painting. There's several features of Hari. There's Indra paying his obeisances, as you see. There's Surabhi that came with Indra. There's his Airavata elephant in the background. And, lots of details and details and details in this painting. So here's where the Anukut was offered. And there's another photograph of the same area. Of course, this is not in the rainy season, but look how small the people are back there. Compared to Govardhan Hill is pretty tall in this area. So that's where the Anukut was performed, and where Hari Dev accepted all the offerings. And Indra became angry. angry Indra sent forth the clouds of universal destruction, known as Samvartaka. Indra told the clouds, "Go and remove their pride and bring their animals to destruction." Not good. "I will follow you riding on my elephant and taking with me powerful wind gods to decimate the coward village of Nanda Maharaj." Supposed to be lightning sound again. Clouds blazed with lightning bolts and roared with thunder. Maybe I have to just turn the volume back up again. Anyway, roared with thunder as they hurled down hailstones, as the clouds released torrents of rain as thick as massive columns. The earth was submerged in flood. There's the rainy season with lightning coming down. It's not a painting, it's a photograph. Pretty intense, huh? The cows and other animals shivering from the excessive rain and wind, and the cowherd men and ladies, pained by the cold, all approached Lord Govinda for shelter. Krishna said to himself, "Because we have stopped his sacrifice, Indra has caused this unusually fierce, unseasonable rain, together with terrible winds and hail. By my mystic power, I will completely counteract this disturbance caused by Indra when I break the false prestige of those bereft of goodness. My purpose is to bring them relief. I must, therefore, protect the cowherd community by my transcendental potency, for I am their shelter, I am their master, and indeed, they are my own family. After all, I've taken a vow to protect my devotees." Lord Krishna, who is Vishnu himself, picked up Govardhan Hill with one hand and held it aloft just as easily as a child holds up a mushroom. Now, there's supposed to be some sound effects down here. I don't know what's going on. Anyway, we'll fix it later. So, Krishna's lifting Govardhan Hill. Celebrated pastime, dozens of paintings. There we see Krishna standing up on a little bit of a hill because he's only 7 years old. And everyone's got to fit under the hill. So he's got a little place to stand on. "With my mystic power, I'll protect the people of Vraja, who have taken shelter of me, who consider me their Lord, and who are my relatives. This is my vow. By continuously drinking the nectar of the beauty and sweetness of Sri Krishna, the residents of Vrindavan felt no hunger, thirst, or fatigue, and Lord Krishna, by seeing their beautiful forms, also forgot about eating, drinking, and sleeping." So there he is, holding up the hill with the little finger of his left hand, and everybody and everything fits under the hill, which means that the hill expanded, because that's a lot of 900,000 cows, and all their paraphernalia, and all the people, and everything. So the hill became really big. You know the pastime. The hill itself was feeling no inconvenience. And there you see Sudarshan Chakra zooming around. But let's go back to that one. Where is it? What happened? Sudarshan Chakra disappeared. Oh, I see. It just moves on its own. There we go. See the chakra? Zooming around. People swimming in the flooded water. There's Krishna standing under the hill, lifting the hill, getting out of the water. Everyone's safe that's under the hill. And they're very happy because part of the past, there's many purposes, but one of the purposes is each of the devotees of Krishna would be with Krishna during some part of the day, and then he'd go off doing something else, and then they'd feel separation, and then with him again the next day. So they wanted uninterrupted association, so this was the arrangement. Everyone had uninterrupted association not only 7 days, 7 nights. And they were so ecstatic, they didn't feel hungry, they didn't sleep. Pretty amazing. And lifting the hill is pretty amazing. Not eating or sleeping or anything for 7 days, it's also pretty amazing. But they were having a festival, being in Krishna's association. Okay. So many such paintings, more such paintings. So now Indra kind of gets it after 7 days. Indra observed this exhibition of Lord Krishna's mystic power. He became most astonished, pulled down from his platform of false pride, his intentions thwarted. He ordered his clouds to desist. That's angry Indra up there on the painting above this text. And now there's some sunshine coming through the clouds. At the painting below, there's Indra with Airavata and Surabhi by his side offering obeisances to Krishna. So Krishna then informed the cowherd men, please go with your wives, children, and possessions. Give up your fear. The wind and rain have stopped. The river's high waters have subsided. The birds are chirping pretty loudly too. When all living creatures looked on, Supreme Personality Godhead put down the hill in its original place, just as it stood before. And the demigods, the fonts on this are messed up, but the demigods were showering flowers from the sky. That's what's in the background. They're showering flowers from the sky, playing conch shells, kettle drums, and singing. We're almost done. I'm looking at our host to see if he's okay. Okay. So this is Govinda Kund, where Surabhi came and offered her prayers and performed Abhishek for Krishna with her milk. Krishna accepted her loving service. We can see Govardhan in the background, and there's some cows, and the hill is pretty tall in this area. Another photograph of this nice Govinda Kund. By the side of Govinda Kund is where a little temple was set up by Madhavendra Puri. We're going to visit that temple shortly. And here's another season where it's not so rainy, and the Govinda Kund has subsided a bit. Yeah, Govinda Kund. By the side, this is in one of the temples. There's a deity that's being worshipped today, of Krishna lifting Govardhan Hill. Here's a similar photograph of the same deity. Madhavendra Puri had arranged for 2 Brahmana disciples to worship the deity, and the next generation, this is important detail, Raghunath Das Goswami, because Madhavendra Puri was gone, and the 2 Brahmana disciples also were getting very old. So Raghunath Das Goswami, being the leader at that time amongst the Goswamis, he entrusted the worship of Gopal to a very close, intimate worshipper of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu named Vitala, who was the son of Vallabhacharya. And that's how, historically, the Vallabhacharya folks became worshippers of Gopal and renamed him Srinathji. But there's a little story we'll tell when we get to the other side of Govardhan Hill about how that happened. But this is an important historical event. Vitala was very, very, very devoted to Lord Chaitanya. His father was not the main place of his shelter. Lord Chaitanya was the main place of his shelter. And he was so devoted and so much into deity worship that Raghunath Das entrusted the worship up on the hill to Vitala. So that's the end. Isn't it nice? And we'll offer our obeisances to our founder Acharya, and we'll continue, I guess, tomorrow midday from Govindakund going further south. Now, just so geographically, we started at Kusum Sarovar, which isn't at the very top. Radhakund Shamakund is at the very top. We started at Kusum Sarovar, and we're now about 2/3 of the way down the eastern side of Govardhan Hill. And tomorrow we'll make our way to like Govardhan town, and then the final session is to go the rest of the way back to Kusum Sarovar through Radhakund. And we're all going to do that in one day, not just have kata, but walking too. When we get there, one day. Come join us. Because we're often the place where there isn't technology, we can't do live stream presentation, but my understanding is it'll all be video recorded and then uploaded that evening, so whatever happens during the day will be uploaded that evening. So people that are back here will be able to see whatever we're doing. I mean, we'll see the walking, but then I'm sure there probably will be images of Govardhan Hill. There's Govardhan Hill. There's this temple, and there's that temple, and this place. Wherever we visit. Any discussion? Yes.
Maharaj, when the slide where it talks about the Govardhan inhabitants.
Govardhan which?
Govardhana residents, inhabitants there, the cows, how they got each bhava where they were explaining.
Yes.
It's mentioned that Govardhana hill, the bhava was Sakya bhava. So I was not able to understand. We didn't hear any pastimes, any pastimes between Krishna and the Govardhan hill. How to understand that Sakya bhava between Krishna and Giri Govardhan?
I'm not sure what your question is. Are you referring to that purport by Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur?
Yes.
From 11th canto?
Yes, Maharaj.
It's from Uddhava Gita, and Krishna is describing the special place that the residents of Vrindavan have for him. So in the commentary, Vishwanath is saying they're the superlative bhaktas. They're the superlative bhaktas. And they're superlative in each of the rasas. So he's giving examples of each of the rasas. It's not a pastime connected, it's just he's making a declaration that these are the rasas corresponding with different devotees of the Lord. And so as far as Govardhan, his estimation, it's Sakya. But we heard, I commented, we heard earlier, at least in the view, in the devotional view of Raghunath, it's Dasya. And the gopis say Dasya, and he's saying Sakya.
Yes.
There's not a pastime connected. It's just his declaration. Now, if you want an explanation, you better ask him. He doesn't make a commentary on his commentary. He just makes the declaration.
Thank you.
The main point is they're superlative devotees amongst all the devotees in creation. They're the superlative devotees in each of the rasas. No, to say that Govardhan is the best of devotees doesn't necessarily mean that's Dasya Rasa, because Sakhas are also servants. Arjuna is a servant of Krishna. He's in a particular rasa. All the associates of the Lord, they're doing service.
But my understanding was Krishna himself took the form of Govardhan hill, so
what?
He entered.
But we went over this. Well, let's do it. Maybe you missed it. I'll do it again. He is both Hari and Haridasya. Both. Like Lord Chaitanya is both the personality of Godhead and a devotee of the personality of Godhead. Like that, Govardhan is both Hari Dev and Haridasya, or Dasa. He's Hari Dev and he's Hari Dasa simultaneously. And then comes, well, how are you going to view him? And a lot depends on just like how are you going to view Lord Chaitanya? We discussed this. Listen to the recording from today's midday session. We discussed this. When you or any one of us, when any devotee comes to the stage of spontaneous devotional service, they can consider as a spontaneous devotee might consider. And until one comes to the stage of being spontaneous, then one follows vidhis. We worship Govardhan, we worship Gaurnitai according to the vidhis of how you worship the Supreme Lord. And those devotees that become spontaneous, like Raghunath Das Goswami, he has the qualification to worship Govardhan in a different way. It doesn't mean that he neglects the vidhis, but that's his mood of love, his spontaneous mood of love. Is it clear?
Thank you, Maharaj.
And Vishwanath is in that same caliber as Raghunath. He's a Rasika Bhakta all the way. And he sees the way he sees, which is just fine.
I have another question.
Okay.
The Divya Desha's Lakshmi Narayana temple, was there any, because each Divya Desha there is some special pastime or how they appear there, any?
I don't know. Is anybody here that's a Sri Vaishnava and knows the answer to that question? I mean, how it has become established that these are the 108. I don't know the answer to that. Aside from, is there a particular pastime connected or a history behind this one? I don't have the answer to that.
Thank you, Maharaj.
I can ask and see if somebody that's, I know a couple somebodies to ask.
Thank you, Maharaj.
I'll see if I can find out the next couple of days. Anything else? Yes?
Maharaj, was there any, what was the significance of that pastime where Sanatan Goswami was bothered of mosquitoes and then Lord Shiva?
He was done what? Well, the mosquitoes pastime.
Yeah.
Is there significance behind it?
So my understanding was because Sanatan Goswami is a great devotee of Krishna, that's why Lord Shiva is trying to serve him.
Of course. He's his neighbor. He doesn't want him to move. Please stay.
Yes.
I feel very happy having your company. It doesn't say anything like he looked up to him or something like that. Just, please don't leave. I'll see the mosquitoes go away. Okay.
And just one more thing, Maharaj.
Like an intimacy.
Yeah. So there are many places on the top, like on the Govardhan hill also, as we saw today. Is that understanding correct? So,
There's not many, but there are some, yes.
so, but we don't go to those places.
We don't, yes, definitely we don't. We don't, as Mahaprabhu didn't, we don't.
Thank you.
Tomorrow, stay tuned, it'll come up tomorrow, the midday session, because there's a place where there's a temple for Balaram up on Govardhan Hill, and from that place up on Govardhan Hill, he was seeing Rasa Leela off in the distance, and he became so ecstatic crown fell to the ground, fell on a Shila, and made a mark of his crown, a Mukut Shila. So there's a temple up on top of the hill. Bhakti Chaitanya Maharaj explains, he didn't go up on the hill, but there was a pujari up on the hill, so he gave a few rupees to the pujari to take his camera and take a picture of what's on that, shrine or little temple up on top of the hill. And he got his camera back.
Thank you, Guru.
And the pictures. So we'll see them tomorrow. Okay, Srila Prabhupada ki. Jai.